Show me everything you have!
Hope you'll put up a fight!
Round one. Fight!
A main is something that everybody has when it comes to fighting games. I think it's super interesting to look at a character that someone plays and see what they personally enjoy about that character, whether it's their design, the way they play, or something else entirely. Today in this video, I want to just go over a few of the characters that I main in different fighting games and talk about why I main them. Some things I feel I should mention before we get started. I would say that I'm pretty good at fighting games, but I am nowhere near an expert on any of these characters. If you're looking for expert advice and guides, this is the wrong place. There are 1,001 people that are better at every single character that I will mention in this video. Next, everything in this video is my opinion, but I welcome discussion in the comments about what you get out of a character. Like I said, I find stuff like that super interesting. With all that out of the way, let's get right into this.
Gold Lewis Dickinson.
The first character that I want to talk about today is the character that I've probably put more time into than any other character in any fighting game, and that's going to be Gold Lewis Dickinson from Guilty Gear Strive. Ever since I started playing Guilty Gear, Gold Lewis has been my main character. I have Potemkin and Faust as my secondaries, but Gold Lewis has been my main guy since day one. Even from the beginning, I found Gold Lewis's design to be very striking. He's this huge, hulking man who swings around a giant coffin like it's nothing. Something that you might notice throughout this video is that I tend to gravitate towards larger characters, mainly because I myself am a bit of a larger person in real life. So I think it's nice to see characters that are built like me in games, especially a character that's as cool as Gold Lewis. Oftentimes in games, especially those made by Japanese developers unfortunately, fat characters tend to be portrayed as gluttonous slobs whose sole or main personality trait is that they love to eat. I love that Gold Lewis is just a big guy. There's no jokes at his expense about his size from himself or the game. He's just built like that. I think it's very nice to see. Body type diversity is something that I think the fighting game genre can struggle with. Some games more than others. Mortal Kombat, not to name any names, but that's not the point here. Even beyond his size, his design is super sick. The glasses that can summon an orbital laser for one of his supers, the stylish suit with the cow skull belt buckle, and the jacket adorned with military insignia. It very much screams American character designed by a Japanese person, but I think it works extremely well. He has a very unique weapon. It's a giant coffin with an alien inside of it, and it leads to a super unique gameplay design that I'm surprised has not been done before. Behemoth Typhoon is a genius design for a character's toolkit, and even when I started playing Gold Lewis, the inputs came natural to me, which I've heard some have struggled with, which I understand, because it's half circles till the fucking cows come home. It leads to so many possibilities though, that even while just messing around in the lab while making this video, I was discovering new combo routes that I had never seen before. Gold Lewis is an absolute powerhouse. He's easily able to output some of the highest damage in the game in just 4 to 5 hit combos. Although, I do have to admit, while making this video, I went online on Strive for the first time in about a year or two, and I have to be honest with you guys, I am utterly washed at Strive. I'm past my prime. The performance was so bad that I was embarrassed about it. You are not seeing any of that performance right now. The footage is gone, wiped from history. Despite my recent failings with Gold Lewis though, he is a character that I hold very near and dear in my heart, because he is the first fighting game character that I would genuinely consider myself good at.
I'll show you! Most strongest in the universe!
The next character I want to discuss is in Tekken 8. My journey to find a main in Tekken 8 was a lengthy one, way more than it usually takes me to find one in fighting games. Usually I just look through the roster until I find a character with a design that I like. My bias towards larger characters usually leads me to playing grapplers, since larger characters tend to be grapplers. So I started out by playing King. I thought he looked cool, and he was enjoyable to play. It should have been a slam dunk, but I had never played Tekken before, so I was adjusting to the 3D space and all of the unique mechanics that Tekken has, while also trying to learn King. It kind of became overwhelming. At the behest of a friend of mine that is much more well versed in Tekken than I am, I tried a more beginner-friendly character and settled on Victor because I also thought he looked cool. I learned the fundamentals of Tekken, although there were some that would contest this, and became a generally better player of the game. But the more I played Victor, the less satisfying I found to play him, and even now I'm not really sure why. So I put down Victor and I started throwing characters at the wall until I found something that I thought would stick. I eventually settled between Paul Phoenix and Feng Wei, with Paul ultimately being the winner because I found him easier to understand than Feng. Paul is my main in Tekken 8, and I love playing him. He's a very fundamental character, with an answer for a lot of situations. He just plays the game of Tekken extremely well. I'm not terribly well versed in Tekken's story or the lore of Paul Phoenix, but I do know that he is one of the few characters to show up in every single mainline Tekken title, which I think is something worthy of respect. Design-wise, Paul is another example of an American design by a Japanese character. He's very loud, brash, self-confident, but he really does have the strength to back it up. He's had the gis and the motorcycle jackets, all sorts of different outfits, but his most iconic visual is, of course, his Polnareff hair. So it's a very outlandish hairstyle, but Paul wears it so proudly that you have to respect it, and I think that's really what sells the character of Paul to me. Paul's gameplay is really straightforward, but I find it really fun and satisfying. There's no better feeling than landing a Death Fist in Heat mode. I like how Paul is animated and portrayed through his moves. He seems like he's just here to have a good time. Moves like Incomplete Somersault really drive home the kind of fighter that Paul is. He's here for a good time and to prove that he's the strongest in the universe. I generally abhor ranked modes in games because I'm not a very competitive person, but playing Paul has actually made me enjoy playing ranked Tekken and other fighting games ranked modes. In Season 1 of Tekken 8, I reached Garyu with Paul, and here in Season 2, I've gotten him to Mighty Ruler, which may not sound like a lot to some, but I'm honestly very proud of myself for getting that far with him. Paul has inspired me to improve at other fighting games, so I just want to say thank you, Paul. I'd like to eventually try Feng Wei, and even go back to Victor and King. Now that I have a better understanding of the fundamentals of Tekken, I think it's a lot easier for me to pick up a character now and understand what they're about. Although there are some characters I might have to hold off on playing, such as King, because right now, King seems to be a secret descendant of Adolf Hitler. If I play him, I might get killed with pitchforks.
Ha! Look at this body of iron!
Let's move on to Street Fighter 6. And if you've been paying attention to my preferences, you're probably gonna guess who I'm about to say my main is in this game. Or you just watched the edit. To the surprise of nobody, my main is the Red Cyclone, the grandfather of grapplers Zangief. Although, I'm a bit more reluctant to play Zangief than some of my other mains in this video. And that's not to say I don't enjoy playing Zangief, because I genuinely do. but I think that there are other characters in the Street Fighter series that have more interesting or cooler designs that just aren't in Street Fighter 6. Zangief is fun, but his gameplay is ultimately very basic. He was the first grappler, and you can definitely tell that he was. The characters that I'm most hopeful for are G and Armika. G, because I think his design is super cool, and I enjoy his moveset. And Armika, because I think she's a more interesting take on a wrestler than Zangief, and also I think she's really hot. But enough talking about them. Let's get to the focus of this section, Zangief. This is going to sound negative, but I promise that it's not. But playing Zangief feels dirty, like I'm using underhanded tactics. I can't lie, Zangief has led to some of the most immensely satisfying moments I've ever felt playing a fighting game. But also, like, sometimes it feels a little undeserved. Like, for example, my buddy that I play Street Fighter with, he's a Ken main. You're seeing him in the footage right now. He labs all these crazy combos that have, like, really hard execution, and he uses all his resources. He drive rushes and drive cancels and all that other technical shit. And, you know, he practices this shit. He put the time in, he put the effort in, and his reward is this crazy ass combo. And then here comes me. Here comes me doing basically the same amount of damage as his combo in one OD pile driver. And all I did was a fucking circle input. I don't want to say it's dirty, because that's just how Zangief is. That's his design. But, like, sometimes, you know, I feel a little bad. Playing Zangief does make you feel powerful. Like, you're the boss character. I really enjoy his showboating, his smack talk, his flexing, just his all-around personality. It really sells the character to me, just like Paul. Zangief is here to have a good time. You're gonna witness his invincible body, and you're gonna get fucking grabbed for 60% of your health immediately. As time goes on, and more characters get added to Street Fighter 6, Zangief might lose his main status, but I will cherish the moments that he has given me.
I will win this match. The laws of physics demand it.
In the previous section, I talked about how I think there are more interesting characters in the Street Fighter series that I would like to play as, but I currently can't because they're not in Street Fighter 6. Let's go to a character that I'm fairly confident in saying that we are never going to see him in a playable capacity ever again. Hakan from Street Fighter 4. I actually only just recently got into Street Fighter 4, and I only just picked up Hakan, so I'm still fairly new to everything going on here. If you put a gun to my head and told me to start plinking, I would just tell you to pull the trigger. Hakan has always caught my eye though, because he's just the most insane series of design choices I've ever seen. He's a hulking red man, he's got weird blue hair that looks like a helmet, and he covers himself in cooking oil and slides all over the place to fight. He's the president of a cooking oil company that enters the tournament in Street Fighter 4's story mode just to plug the art of oil wrestling and to look for new recipes for his oil. He also has a really hot wife and 7 kids, so he canonically fucks. I'm gonna let you do with this information what you will. His theme kicks ass, and it's among my favorites in Street Fighter 4, but some weirdo in the studio decided to fill it with cartoon boing sound effects. I thought I was imagining them at first when I heard his theme, but they really are there. Go ahead and listen to it for yourself. Personality-wise, I don't think Hakan is anything to write home about. Seems like Capcom just had the idea for an oil wrestler character but didn't know what to do with him, which is fair, I guess. Not every character needs to be relevant to the story, but it would just be nice to have him do something. Gameplay-wise, though, I think Hakan is really interesting. His main gimmick is that he's able to oil himself up during a fight, and while he's oiled, he gains a shitload of buffs. The difference between oiled and non-oiled Hakan are so drastic that he may as well be two different characters. There's virtually no benefit to playing non-oiled Hakan, so you want to try to keep your oil up as long as possible. When you're oiled up, you gain better range on your normals, you have better movement, you have a 10% defense bonus, you can cancel your dashes into normals, which is something that no other character in the game can do, and there are probably even more things that being oiled up can do for you, but those are just what I know off the top of my head while I write the script. I like the idea of having to play around the oil, knowing when the best time is to keep up your offense and when to try to back up and oil up. Something about that is really appealing to me. Hakan is one of the more unique takes that I've seen on Grappler, and I would like to see him come back one day, but I honestly doubt we're ever going to see him in a playable capacity ever again. As far as I know, he was one of the more unpopular characters in Street Fighter IV, and also, given recent developments, I don't think it would be the greatest idea if Capcom made a character whose entire gimmick is that he oils himself up. So I imagine he's going to be relegated to cameo and reference hell, right next to characters like El Fuerte and Rufus. Before I end the video, I want to do a quick lightning round of characters that I would consider my main, or at least find interesting, but I don't have enough to say about them as I do with the other characters that I mentioned in this video. I want to start by mentioning the first fighting game character that I would consider my main, Erron Black in MKX. MKX was probably not the first fighting game that I ever played, but it was the first game where I had a main. I believe the honor for first fighting game that I ever played goes to the original Injustice, but I never played that game enough to warrant having a main. I was never any good at Erron Black though, because I was young and dumb and I didn't understand how fighting games worked. I just thought Erron Black looked cool, and fatalities were awesome because I was 11 years old. I always rocked the Outlaw variation because it was the simplest one for me to understand. I didn't really grasp the concept of motion inputs or combos or any fancy stupid shit like that. So the fact that the Outlaw variation just changed some of his normals was enough for me. I continued to play Erron when he came back in MK11, but something about him just didn't hit the same as it did in MKX. He eventually fell to the wayside for me, and my real main in MK11 was the Joker, because he was really fucking good. He was one of the best characters in the game, and he had really good customization, which you can't say for a lot of characters in MK11, unfortunately. In MK1, I had to pick a new character because Erron Black did not return for that game, and I eventually settled on Havik because I thought he looked cool, and that was a fucking struggle pick if I ever saw one. Havik was the worst character in the game for pretty much the first year of the game's life, until post-nerf Peacemaker came out. That's a fucking struggle character right there, Jesus Christ. My thoughts and prayers go out to those that try to play Peacemaker nowadays. I'm not really sure where Havik stands now tier-wise, because I don't give a shit about MK1 anymore, but I would like to imagine that he's at least in a bit of higher standing than he was in the first year of the game. I didn't play a crazy amount of Injustice 2, because I honestly find the game to be really boring. It's way too zoning focused, and the gear system is just a downright tragedy. But I have to give NRS props on one thing. It features the only fun grappler that they've ever made in the history of their company. Grapplers are like the one archetype that NRS cannot do. Look at Reiko in MK1, Geras in MK11, fucking Solomon Grundy in Injustice 1. They just can't do grapplers. But Bane in Injustice 2 is the one exception. I thoroughly enjoy playing Bane, but like I said, I never put a crazy amount of hours into Injustice 2, because I genuinely find the game to be pretty boring. Also, Bane has some of the worst customization in the whole game. Most of his stuff is damn near identical to each other, and the only major thing that you can change is his mask. That goes for most Injustice 2 characters, but I feel like Bane has it worse than most. I pretty much abhor zoners. I think that's a pretty universal statement. I just don't think it's a fun playstyle to play as or fight against. The Fatal Fury City of the Wolves opened my eyes a little. I thought I was going to go with T-Zoc when the game released because he seemed like my kind of character. A big-bodied grappler with terrible movement and a kick-ass design. But something about Billy Kane caught my eye. I know it's pronounced Billy Khan. Fuck you, I'm going to keep saying Kane. I honestly don't know why. His design is super basic. He looks like a guy that if you saw him at a party, you should probably keep a cover on your drink. But when I first booted up the game, I went to training mode with him first, and I honestly do enjoy playing him, which caught me by surprise. I never thought I would see the day where a zoner would be my main in any fighting game. Granted, he is a limb zoner, not a projectile zoner, but he is still a zoner nonetheless. Despite how I feel about Billy, I feel like there are a few other characters where if I actually tried them, then I might choose them over him, such as T-Zoc or Marco Rodriguez. And for the final bit of this lightning round, I want to mention Soul Calibur 6, which is a bit of an outlier for me when it comes to fighting games. I actually have around 200 hours on Soul Calibur 6, but the funny thing is, I don't have a main in this game. I don't know how to play a single one of the fucking characters on that roster. I bought this game 7 years ago, the Christmas after it launched, with one thing in mind. I wanted to fuck around in the character creator, and fuck around I did. Even to this day, I still don't have a main, and I honestly don't think I ever will. Me and my buddy would mess around for hours, making the dumbest fucking characters ever, and just fighting each other with them. It's a game that I hold very dear to my heart, but not for the reason that you might think. I'm just going to show off a few custom characters that I've made over the years that I'm particularly fond of. But that's pretty much it for this video. That's pretty much everybody I wanted to talk about. There are others I could mention, but I don't think I really have anything to say about them. If you made it this far in the video, I just want to say thank you for watching. It really means a lot to me. Remember to make your bed and renew your driver's license every 4 years. Good night.